Back in 2004, I loved Far Cry. From hunting boar, shooting birds out of the sky, taking out bad guys with my machete, or simply just going for a dip in the shark-infested waters of the mysterious unnamed island, I played the hell out of it. After releasing Far Cry, developer Crytek left the series in the hands of Ubisoft, who, after ruining it with the truly awful Instincts and Vengeance, saved the series in 2008 with Far Cry 2. Personally, I believe Far Cry 2 was, and still is, the best of the series. Taking place in Africa, and featuring some pretty realistic survival gameplay in terms of guns jamming and having to take malaria medicine, it was a thrilling and dangerous experience. Far Cry 3 didn't do much for me though, and now we have yet another entry in the Far Cry series. However, does Far Cry 4 make its own mark on the franchise like Far Cry 2 did, or is it simply more of the same as what we saw in Far Cry 3? Sadly, the latter may be true. Developed by Ubisoft Montreal and out now for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, Xbox 360 and PC comes Far Cry 4, a game that, while better than Far Cry 3, is essentially more of the same. This time the action takes place in Kyrat, a fictional area of Nepal. The region is ruled by the brutal iron fist of Pagan Min, a ruler on one side of an ongoing civil war. You play the role of AJ Gale, a guy born in Kyrat that has returned to spread the ashes of his deceased mother. But AJ has some pretty rotten luck, as in coming back to Kyrat he's pulled into the civil war that is tearing the region in two. With Pagan Min gunning for him, and an entire region of mountains and jungles to explore and discover, it's up to you to decide which side you'll fight for, the side of Pagan Min or the freedom fighters. Sadly though, the story in Far Cry 4 is one of its worst elements, as it often comes across as edgy for the sake of being edgy, as if the writer based most of their research for Pagan Min on characters such as Tyler Durden and the Joker. This failure in story extends to the characters that populate Kyrat too, as I found myself completely uninterested in them. Right from the opening scene, the visuals jump out at you. The game can be faulted as being too similar to Far Cry 3 in many areas, but certainly not in the graphics department. Not only are they highly detailed and incredible looking, especially on PS4, Xbox One and PC, but the world of Kyrat is also incredibly varied and different. There are lush jungles, high mountain regions that give stunning views of the Himalayas, small sleepy towns and houses made of wood and stone, and deep rivers and lakes that glisten in the blazing sun. This level of detail of course extends to the wildlife of the region too, which includes elephants, snow leopards, rhinos, wolves, and naturally honey badgers. Though not everything is out to get you, the wildlife in Far Cry 4 is that extra piece of the puzzle that leads to its world feeling incredibly alive and vibrant. Though the map is the same size as Far Cry 3's, Ubisoft Montreal have squeezed in far more interesting areas and sites in Far Cry 4. Very little space here is wasted, though that's pretty much the best improvement on what Far Cry 3 previously did. At its heart the gameplay is, well, the same as Far Cry 3, with the open world ahead of you and a huge array of weaponry at your disposal. As AJ you'll need to complete missions across Kyrat. They come in many different forms, from simple assassination missions in which you can pick off your target from the mountains using a sniper rifle, to more visceral, hostage rescue missions that will have you reaching for your machine gun. Needless to say, there's a bevy of mission types to undertake, but if you've played Far Cry 3, you've done it all before. Completing missions will allow you to upgrade your weapons and even AJ himself. From giving AJ a better resistance to enemy fire, to allowing him to hold more grenades in his belt, there is always something to strive towards in Far Cry 4, even if it all feels painfully similar. Gunplay remains pretty standard for the series too. It's incredibly fun at times, but I must say, I really do miss the realism of Far Cry 2. Granted, having your gun jam every few minutes got a little boring, but it added an extra layer of danger to an already perilous situation. Sadly, even beyond the lack of gun jamming here, Far Cry 4 never really feels quite that dangerous. That in itself kind of destroys any feeling of true adventure. But Far Cry 4 does have its great moments, some of which come about when AJ goes on various mystical quests into the legends of Kyrat. It sounds pretty trippy, but in Far Cry 4 you'll also explore the fabled land of Shangri-La. Alongside your magical pet tiger, these missions are a breath of fresh air in the game. But aside from these missions, my best moments with Far Cry 4 were unscripted and outside the main story quest. It's true, I personally got the most out of Far Cry 4 when I discovered my own story, journey and path through the game. I congratulate Ubisoft Montreal on creating a game that lets the player carve out their very own adventure, but next time let's hope the main quest is a little bit more engaging. Far Cry 4 is a little too Far Cry 3 for my liking, so I give it a 3 out of 5.
Welcome to Kirat.
Hold me close and hold me fast. The magic spell you cast. This is La Vie en Rose. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always bleed. La Vie en Rose.